Alright, so I recorded this already, but the upload failed. So, let me just. Hopefully, the audio will work. So, today was a day. Started at about 10:50. Was driving to work. And then I felt something weird in my tire well. I thought it was just snow caked in there. And it was really grindy, so I kind of like turned my wheel like this a little bit, and it got worse. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna pull over and see what's going on. I I parked the car, opened the door, and immediately when I opened the door, I was like, flat tire. No problem. I got an air compressor. Walk out. Huh. Tires off the rim. Like, mostly. So I call work, and I'm like, hey, flat tire. I don't know how I'm gonna deal with this. It's kind of like off the rim. And they're like, oh, okay, you gotta call the on-call manager. And I did. And then a really awkward conversation. It was like she didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what she was asking. She probably thought I was the other girl who shares the same name as me. And she's like, okay, well, if you gotta call in, call me at 10 tomorrow. I'm like, it's 11. I go into work now. I don't know what to do. And so she kind of hangs up on me a little bit. Not like an abrupt or anything. She's just like, closes off the call. And then I call my dad. I'm like, Dad, I don't know what to do. And he's like, well, you probably just gotta get to work, don't you? And so I was interrupted on that call by the house calling back. And um, the house that I work at, they like, hey, do you want a ride in so we don't have to work a double? Cause we'll go pick you up. I'm like, yes, please. I want to work the shift. I do. I need the money. I don't want to lose my job. And then so she gets there, and I'm trying to put this like white pair of pants thingy. It was in my car because my mom gave me a bunch of scrubs, but I don't really use scrubs. And so she like draped it, or I draped it over, and it wouldn't close. It finally closed. I went to work, day as usual. I'm thinking, okay, today I'm gonna figure it out. It's gonna be fine. I know it's gonna be fine. All I gotta do is walk to Walmart, get a jack, and figure it out. So after work. Oh, by the way, I had to have a fire drill. That was fun. I work with development. Bleh, never say it because my mouth doesn't work properly. Developmentally disabled people who need a little bit more assistance, and I clean the house and Anyway, so we have a fire drill. I'm just counting the tallies to this day. And so I'm walking to Walmart, and by the way, just show you. These are my boots. They have a little bit of a heel to them. Usually I just wear not combat boots, but work boots. But I like those, so I tried them out anyway. So I'm walking in 20-degree Fahrenheit weather. My mouth's not working. I did this so much better the first time, but whatever. Another tally. So, I get like halfway there. I catch a ride from somebody. I'm very grateful. awkward conversation ish because he sounded like after I mentioned my car tire and how my friend might help me after he gets out of work, it just got really awkward after that. Like I don't know why, but he just sounded bummed. Anyway, um, so I get out the car. I'm like, thank you, and then I go get the jack. Um, and yeah, jack, and then a jack A-frame thing, stand, jack stand, jack stand. So 5 minutes already. Sorry, I'm a rambler. So we are. So I get the jack stand and everything, and I'm just chilling, and I get some food, and I sit down, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call an Uber, and the Uber didn't, like, there was nobody around to do Uber. Blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. I do that when I can't talk. There was no one around to do the Uber, so I was like, okay, well, that must be some beta thing, because, I'm getting more spiritual. I'm just letting, destiny take its place, so that way I'm less stressed. And so I go to the auto department because they're finally open, and I buy a tire. The tire doesn't have a rim on it, but I'm like asking, hey, like, give me some tips in this thing. And then it's like a young kid, so he's like, I never have put a rim on a tire without the machine, so I'm not really sure how that'll go. I'm like, I'll figure it out. So I buy the tire, and then I'm sitting there at the subway, waiting for a ride over to the car. I'm like, hey, I just need to get dropped off in my car. I got the tires, no big deal. She's like, sure, I'll be there in like an hour. She was there in an hour and a half. I got some knitting done. Very good way to pass the time. And so she picks me up, and I'm like, okay, so I called my dad, and he said that I probably won't be able to get the rim on the other tire, so I'll probably have to take it to a shop. And like here I'm thinking that I was just planning to get dropped off and then figure it out from there because I didn't want to take up anyone's time. So I tell her that, and she's like, okay, so you're gonna need more than just like to be dropped off. And I'm like, yeah, if I can. She's like, okay. And then she calls, as she's driving, she like calls the shop, and she's like, hey, can you do this thing? And they're like, yeah. And so she gets out of the car, she goes right away on trying to get the tire off. But now I call it a crossbar, some people call it four-way, I call the blinkers the